Welcome to Holistic Human Performance Podcast. My name is Gena Bradshaw, where we talk all things holistic health, wellness, spirituality, fitness, meditation, energetics, and so much more to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. Let's dive in. This is not medical advice. This is simply to help you on your journey through health, fitness, and wellness. I hope this helps. You can complement this with anything that you are doing currently in your life. Enjoy. Hey guys, Gena here, and I am so excited to announce that the Holistic Human Performance Virtual Wellness Center is officially launched. Yep, that's right. We've officially launched. And this is like having a holistic health and energy coach in your back pocket. If you need a 5-minute reset, okay, great. What do we have? You need breath work. Okay, great. You need a little bit of mobility flow, nutrition coaching. Great. You can access all of these on-demand videos and self-paced digital courses for a 5-day free trial. That's right. I'm giving this to you guys for a 5-day free trial so you can try it out, see if you like it, see if it works for you, and see if it actually is conducive to your lifestyle and it helps you to create change. It is literally like having me in your back pocket. So again, I'm giving you this for a 5-day free trial. Head on over to holistichumanperformance.co and get your free trial today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Human Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Gena Bradshaw, and today we have a very special guest. And I just love the power of social media because that's how we met and we instantly connected. We spoke on the phone and she is just a vibe. I love her energy. And we have a really cool topic for you today. So our guest is Dr. Kayla Milano. She is a medical doctor and also a functional integrative medical doctor. So she's had both sides of the fence, and I am hyped for this conversation. So we can get into it and talk about the differences and really what the people need to know when they're looking for the right doctor for them. So without further ado, welcome.
Thank you. That was quite the intro. I'm so excited to be here as well. And I feel like this conversation needs to happen right now. Every day I have patients coming in saying, we were with a traditional doctor and we wanted to go holistic or integrative or functional, but we were worried that we wouldn't be in good care because we're still in that traditional model. And so I think having both together is really awesome and needed right now while people are kind of opening their eyes.
I agree because, it's not like you have to choose one or the other. It's like what feels best for you. And like, are you asking the doctor specific questions that are going to help you, make a decision that's best for you? Just because their protocol worked out for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And, I think the more that we talk about this topic and this conversation, the more people start to be like, okay, like the power is in your hands. You're essentially paying the doctor to see them. So you have to make sure, you're doing what's best for you.
Yes, absolutely. Empowered healthcare is so huge. And I think that's one thing that I do really well with my patients is meeting them where they're at. Okay. So there are so many different treatment protocols, but if the person's not ready to embark on a certain aspect of it, it's not right for them. And I think taking a minute to sit down, ground yourself with your patient, which is a little bit unique, I would say, to functional and integrative, where we're a little bit more in tune energetically with ourselves, and then we can be with our patient, helps to make them comfortable. And then we can kind of like start fresh and help them come up with the right plan for them. And then I will say the traditional medical model really has its place for emergency medicine and
Of
for
course.
surgeries and things like that. But I'm trying to help expand primary care to real primary care, how it really was designed to be with the mental health and emotional and spiritual health, and then incorporating nutrition. Oh my gosh, which I'm sure you can relate to because you do a lot with nutrition and exercise, which I really respect.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. We got to think of the whole. So what, number one, what made you kind of go into the medical field? And then what made you make that switch into functional integrative medicine?
Yeah, great question. Okay. So going into college, I thought I wanted to be a therapist. I was going to be basically a mental health counselor. And then I started to dip my feet into the sciences, and my mom was like a huge advocate for trying to go as far up in my field as I could, so to speak, not being
Mm,
medical. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to do psychology. I'm going to do psychiatry, not really even knowing what that meant, to be honest. I was young.
yeah.
But I took my science classes and I applied to allopathic Western medical school, got my medical doctor degree, but I did not go into psychiatry. I loved mental health, loved women, children. So I went into family medicine. Family medicine was beautiful for me in training because I got to take care of people from infancy to adulthood, and I got to do some women's health. But I knew really early on that it wasn't quite right for me to just treat people with medicine. And of course, I could have a conversation about mental health, about diet, exercise, and things like that. But in the traditional model, which I worked in for 3 years, I could see how limited I was by time. So when I graduated residency and worked in a traditional model for 3 years, I knew that I would want to branch out into my own model so that I could care for the whole person. So that's when, about a year into that, I started taking my functional classes, and I did a fellowship through the Institute of Functional Medicine, where I learned how to do a deep dive into some of the more functional testing. And then it was just this past March when I said goodbye to that traditional model and I opened my own practice. And you asked, like, what was the push?
Yeah.
It was knowing that I was going to start sacrificing my care for both myself and my patients. Because there is this burnout factor when you're seeing 18 to 22 patients a day. And then this other thing called like cognitive dissonance. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yep.
Knowing
Hmm.
there was more I could offer my patients if I had had more time. So it all kind of came together late 2022, and then early 23, I pulled the trigger.
That's so cool. Congrats. Oh my gosh, that's
You know,
amazing.
it was big because I just had my son in December of 22. So I had to make this like huge decision. Am I going to go back to the employed job with great insurance? I know what the hours are like, or am I going to do what's in my heart? And I did ultimately choose what was in my heart.
Oh, listening to the body, that's number one.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool. So, what are the type of people that you see?
I see a lot of women who are interested in balancing their hormones. I think part of it is my age, that I'm in my early 30s and I have children, and so they're sort of drawn to me.
Right.
But I do specialize in bioidentical hormone replacement and other natural ways like seed cycling for balancing hormones. So I get some women in their 20s that are just kind of dealing with acne and uncomfortable periods. And then I
Mm,
get a lot of women in their early 30s that are struggling with getting pregnant, coming off of the pill that they've been on for years. And then the other part of the female timeline that I see a lot of is perimenopause.
mm,
Uh, been the biggest right now. So women who are starting to go through the change, they're having irregular periods, and they're kind of feeling life stop is how
mhm,
they've described it. And so that's where I really love to come in and kind of help them adjust their exercise, help them adjust their diet, maybe do a little hormone replacement. If
mhm,
or not, I mean, it depends on the patient. So I
mhm.
see a lot of that.
So you're seeing a lot with like you're dealing a lot with women's health, which I love.
Yes. Yep. A lot with
So
women.
important. So important.
It really is.
Um, so now when right, okay, so you're seeing
Yeah.
those clients. What do you notice a pattern with the individuals that you see? Like, are you noticing a pattern in society and like why kind of all these things, there's a high rate of infertility and what are you noticing? I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah, that's a great question. There a lot of stress. So two things. I would say people becoming less tolerant of chronic stress and looking to other ways to treat it.
Mm,
That would be one thing. So I think women are starting to open their eyes to the fact that just going for their families and putting themselves last is literally taking that physical toll. I think like my mom and my aunt's generation, they just kind of did that until they burnt themselves out and then they were like,
I
stop.
agree. I agree.
Yeah. Whereas now I think our generation is a little bit more aware of the fact that there's a better way. And then the other thing too is I would say with medicine becoming more consumer based,
Mm,
patients are coming with a lot more information, a lot more access to tests, which is great, but also some of that testing online doesn't come with the personalized plan.
mm,
So I'm seeing that like women who are going online, maybe doing, there are different brands out there, but like Everlywell, that's one.
right.
Where
Hmm.
like, did the Everlywell test? It's interesting, but they don't really know what to do with it. And that's where I'll kind of step in. And even if I'm not their concierge primary doctor, because I have that service, I'll just do a one off consult with them and say, okay, well, this is what that means. And this is where you could maybe exercise a little less or exercise a little more, maybe take this supplement. So that's one pattern I'm seeing. Um, Also, you and I talked a little bit about kind of the spiritual stuff on our call, and
Yeah.
I'm getting more women or people. I have male patients that are spiritual and they want to incorporate that in their care a little bit. So
Mm.
that's kind of like a new frontier for me. I think I told you I was like more of a closet spiritual person. Like, no, I can't share that with my patients, but
Hmm.
patients love it. Like having more of a real relationship with your patients that's not just like this doctor patient. I think patients are looking for it, and I think it's healing.
Mm, absolutely. Okay. In the closet spirituality. Let's go. Let's go there.
I don't think, yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I'm nearly as woo woo as a cool woo woo as you are.
Oh my God.
But
Stop.
my intro, yeah, no, I mean, I really want to learn some of what we talked about on the phone that day,
Yeah.
um, about like past lives and how certain cancers are related to certain energetic blocks and things like that. So I am
Mm.
not there yet, but
Yeah.
totally interested.
Yeah.
My entry is really more into the meditation space.
Yeah.
I followed Joe Dispenza for a long time, but I didn't really practice the meditations regularly. And then
Oh
when I
my
found
God.
the Evolve
They
by
are
Air
life
collective,
changing.
they totally are. They totally are. But I kind of, they scared me off at first. So I was doing
Yeah.
a lot of Erica's meditations at Evolve. And that was right around the time that I wanted to start my practice. And it just kind of came to me in
Mm.
visualizations that if I held myself in the highest light while I was treating my patients, even if they didn't know, they would have a better outcome. And I just became kind of fascinated with that, like the energetics of medicine. I believe it's absolutely healing. And that's why I ended up choosing my name, Heal MD, or Heal by Dr. Milano, because I feel like bringing it back to healing and the energy of that is so important, and not getting so lost in the noise of like the perfect diet or the perfect supplement. Yeah, I don't know if that
That's
answers the question,
no,
but
no, that's spot on because I like even for me, I got to this like, I had a stressful moment and it was almost like a drop to your knees moment, but not as much as in my past. Just one of those things where it's like, health struck its chord and I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? And this was like a moment for me where I'm like, okay, there's definitely more than just fitness and nutrition. Those are like the foundational baseline things that we should already be doing. Now let's add this, you know, spiritual touch on it and, involve like what are your emotions and all of these things that truly play a role in our overall health and well-being and that you really can't ignore it now. Like it's out there and I think the more that we lean into this and again it's like you can have both, like you can go on both sides of the fence. What do you like of this? What do you like of this? And just kind of meld them together and see kind of what works best for you. And it is life changing. Let me tell you, it is a game changer.
yes, it totally is. It brings you to that like one empowered, you're empowered because you're making the decisions, and then you actually have vitality, and it's not just back to this calories in, calories out, which always kind of comes back to this feeling of guilt for people. So I love that. I love your work.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I love your work. I
Yeah.
think I'm so
Was it
glad we
your health
connected.
I know, me too. And I think you told me it was your health transformation with the thyroid that started your journey.
Yes.
That's right.
So
Mine,
yeah. Yeah. Sorry,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say mine's different. I didn't have a personal health issue, but my dad died when I was almost 7. And I know that was the seed for me because
Yeah.
it was from a cancer and it was like 9 months so from diagnosis to the time he died. And I think it just planted that seed of like how the body works. And that's where my fascination came in with it. And I don't know, I just find it interesting to see people like you and I who are drawn to not just like medicine,
Mm,
wellness,
yeah.
what sparked it. And I know that's what it was for me.
Yeah, most definitely. So now what are some of the things, 'cause I know you're a busy lady. So what are some of the things that you do? Um, I know you said meditation to practice and bring that into number one, your own routine, ritual, schedule, and then also your clients.
Sure. Yeah. So for my wellness, it's really morphed over the years. I did have my time during residency where I did not have time to get to the gym. And then it was more diet centered. So like I would wake up before going on rotations and I would make a smoothie with whatever I was using at the time. Like it would have a lot of the micronutrients and like superfoods. So I would use maca and different things
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And then post residency, I was able to get back into the exercise, but I kind of let my nutrition fall off. This is when we were
Mm,
having like rep lunches and I had my second baby. So I would kind of rely on what was at the office, but I was getting my exercise in. I was going to some yoga classes at the time. Now I finally found a way to kind of do both. So I'm pretty regimented with eating because it helps me. I find that and I try to teach my clients this, that really we are as good as our backup systems. So not from a negative standpoint, but just that if you can plan ahead and always have something on hand that you'd be comfortable eating and that would actually make you feel good, you're going to be a lot better off. That's like baseline. But then what I really strive for in my life and with my patients is to have meals that make you feel good. Like I am never going to give someone a diet. I want you to be eating something that makes you feel good. And I'm exaggerating because I'm a doctor. So I will, if someone has diabetes, I am going to educate them on carbs. And if they ask about calories, I'm willing to talk about it. But having the meal feel good inside your body it's just so important for digestion and just overall wellness for your physical body. So I really practice that and follow that with my family. And then lately I've been doing a lot of Pilates.
ooh.
After 3 babies, I just need like the pelvic floor support.
Yeah.
And being someone that used to lift, and I did crew in college, which is pretty like
Oh, you
more.
did?
I did, yeah.
Oh
I
my
went
God,
to
I
school
didn't
called
even know
Fordham,
that.
yeah, in New York, and I was on of like a varsity sport, so it was like
Yeah.
a lot of lifting
It's
and
hard.
yeah, it's hard. So I did that, and I was like, no, I'm never gonna do like I'm not gonna be a big Pilates person. That's not hard, but it gets you in a
It's
different way.
hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's a different kind of feeling because you're really working on like those stabilizing muscles and also like it's a lot of volume.
Mm-hmm.
I ran track and field in college. Like I was never the type of person. I was a short sprinter and a thrower. Like I did not like doing anything volume. So when I
Oh,
started trying out and dabbling with Pilates, I was like, damn, this is hard.
yeah, yeah. Same here. And they're like,
Yeah.
tighten your core. I'm like, I am tightening your core. And then they're like, no, like you're cinching your waist. I'm like, oh, that's what you meant.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
totally a
Oh,
different
that's
thing.
cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, so when the overall where do you see, I'm just genuinely curious, where do
Mhm.
you see the medical system going? Because I've spoken to a lot of different doctors and a lot of them are switching over to functional integrative holistic practitioners and those types of fields and opening up their own practices.
I think that is where the shift is going to go, that primary care in the traditional setting is probably going to be more of like become more of the gateway, so to speak, where they're just like the referral mill to the specialist, things that are more hospital based. And that
Mm,
might be kind of like an AI there's different terms for it, but like a chat GPT sort of thing that does the triage.
Mm,
And then people that are seeking real wellness are going to be going to the primary care doctors that have created their own practices. But I do think that the system will find a way to fill the gap, right? Because if you're paying for insurance, you would like some of that to pay for your doctor. Whereas
of
for me,
course.
I don't accept insurance at this point because they really do dictate how you do your care. So that's where
Mm,
the gap is in my mind. I think like what I will tell people, prospective patients, is try to change your insurance so that you have a high deductible plan and then save that money that you're saving and you could pay your concierge doctor with it or using an HSA. But I see that happening. And then I don't know if it would get as far as like having more of a house call situation, but I do think that even in the traditional realm, the amount of patients I saw sitting in the hospital for more days than was necessary because there wasn't a skilled nursing to place them in, or
mm,
there wasn't an LTAC to place them in, that it probably would, because unfortunately the traditional scene really is dictated by cost, that it would be cost saving to treat them in the home with a good care team, like a mobile care team, um, and would probably deliver better care. So that's kind of where I see it going. Really consumer
interesting.
driven. I think that people want to be able to access their doctor and they can. Like my patients message me directly. They can call me directly and I know it's refreshing for them. And more people should have access to that. So I think that the market will end up driving that if that's what people want.
I think so too. And then like the number one thing, obviously, that stops people from going to see an acupuncturist or a massage therapist, which insurance companies are starting to recognize now. People like yourselves, doctors like yourselves, is the cost. And it's unfortunate because, so many people want that and they literally say, I cannot afford it. It is so unfortunate because people like you are actually helping others, and like we spoke about, there's a time and place for, that Western medical model, but for prevention and for overall health and well-being, like these are the things we need. And I'm hoping that it goes in that direction.
Me too. If insurance could find a way to do that, if that would be so smart. So, someone out there who's watching this, if
Yeah.
you have an insurance company,
Hello, help us.
yeah, like add that in. You have the primary doctor and it includes, your primary care. You have a primary care team. So you'd have your doctor or your nurse practitioner or your PA. And then in addition to it, maybe you have 3 acupuncture visits or 2 massage visits. I mean, or even just like a wonderful physical therapist because
Right.
I mean, physical therapy is what I would refer my patients to, but they were really limited on time too. And so you would have like a really great physical therapist, but they were treating like the entire room. And so people would end up like on a recumbent bike, not really doing what was intended by me referring them there. So
Yep.
I would love to see that change.
I know, same. And my brother is a physical therapist and
Cool.
it's great because he has the knowledge of be like the functional strength training because of what my family does. We have a family fitness business. So we just like grew up in that Bradshaw personal fitness and like he got certified in certain things. So he has that melding, but there's not many other physical therapists like that where I believe that they need to get the best of both worlds so that they understand the strength training, and they understand the physiology, but how the body works as a whole, right? Like instead of just putting them on stim, ice, heat, repeat, recumbent bike, like can we do something that's actually beneficial here? So,
Yes,
yeah.
so true. Yeah. And a lot of the physical therapy training, some of it's hospital based where they're really just doing evals for insurance. Like, can this person go to the nursing home? It's not so much training that's like hands-on teaching about how the muscles work and that sort of thing. So I totally get that. That's so neat. You grew up in a gym
Yeah.
family. I feel like it would be really fun.
That's what really kicked me off. I mean, listen, like we spoke about this too in our conversation. Just you choose, right? When you come down into this earth, right? You're up there as a soul. You choose your life. You choose all the things that you're going to be going through, your family, your friends, the circumstances, your environment to help you learn that the life lessons that you're meant to learn in this moment, in this time. And so I look back at all the breadcrumbs, being on this side of the fence, 10 years in remission. And I'm like, well, damn, that all was to set me up for this moment, because to be honest with you, I am so grateful that I did grow up in a family like that, because it set me up for success. And my goal is to implement that into families. Like, teach your kids this stuff, because then maybe you won't have to be faced with cancer or Alzheimer's or, whatever it is, MS. There's so many things that, even if they are in your genetic cards, it doesn't mean that, that's going to happen to you. And that's the other downfall of the Western medical model. They're like, well, if it's in your genetics, it's probably going to happen. It's a 50-50 shot. It's like, no, it's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
it's 90% lifestyle.
Yes. And you and I see eye to eye on that. I so glad you brought that up. I think it's so damaging to people to put it on genetics. It takes away the onus from them, and it takes away their power for people that don't know. And it really is not all genetics, not even 50-50, like you said. So I completely agree with that. And then it also makes me think about, because you and I talked about, and I don't know a whole lot about this, but some cancers and illnesses in general are more related to like matters of the heart, or
Yep.
how you think about things versus other cancers. And that brings me back to proactive mental health. And that's another thing I'm working on with my children. Like, I want to teach them to be resilient. I want to teach them to think in a way that will benefit them, because that's going to help their physical health too. And hopefully with, eating well, that by osmosis, they want to eat well. But the mental health is huge, because I feel like if you have a good mental attitude and you kind of know how to think through things and seek help, you can really arm your kids to deal with a lot in life. But I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
can I tell you about a certain situation and you tell
Yeah.
me again what type of, so how do you describe to people who had an illness like a cancer,
Mm-hmm.
that they were destined, that they chose this essentially? Because I believe in that, but people
Yeah.
have asked me when I'm treating them, like, okay, well, if you believe in that, then why me? Why this? And then you get to that, like, well, you chose it. Well, why? Okay. How do you explain that? If you don't
So
mind me.
yeah, no, great question. So I don't outright tell them that. I just kind of gather what they're telling me. And, I've experienced this. So, like, I can resonate with some of the personality traits and, overall energy of the person. Like, are they type A, OCD? Are they perfectionists? Do they self sabotage? And are they holding trauma in their body? So, all of these things play into a factor. So, it gets to a point when you are talking to your client and they ask that question, why me? It's kind of, in a way, well, why me is a victim mentality, right? So we have to kind of reframe, and that's where I start. Let's reframe the why me to, there's something that I need to learn from this. There's something, and there's a reason why I went through this. I may not know the answer, but you will eventually learn that lesson. Whether it be this lifetime, the next lifetime, we don't know, but that's a topic for another discussion. So, yeah, it's basically just kind of like easing them into that conversation of, let's reframe your mind. That why me mentality is essentially a victim mentality. So let's reframe that to be like, okay, I'm here for a reason. I am worthy of being here. Now let's change what our old life was. Really, essentially, when you go through something like that as well, drop to your knees moment. That old you cannot come into this new you. Like, that old self has to die off, because you need to evolve into what you're meant to do in this lifetime.
Love that. And that's almost the beauty of the diagnosis, in a sense, that you are forced to step beyond it, and or not. But
Right.
yeah.
Dr. Wayne Dyer, he used to speak about this all the time. Um, your disease is actually your medicine because everything is an energetic meaning. So, cancer has an energetic meaning, Alzheimer's has an energetic meaning. All of these things, everything is energy. So when you lean into, let's just say you're diagnosed with cancer, okay, what deep-seated hurt, resentment, and anger are you harboring? What is eating you up inside? And you might automatically know, and it might pop into your head, and you just like feel it, Or it may take some time to unravel because it might have been something that happened to you, when you were 3 years old and you blocked it out of your mind because it was so traumatic. And just kind of unraveling that,
Mhm.
that's kind of how I do it. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like feeling out the individual of how open are they? Are they
Right.
willing? Because you have to be honest. Like, if you want to heal, you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
We cannot
I totally,
lie.
yeah.
We'll
No, it's so
sugarcoat
true.
it, but we gotta like,
We
let's
can't
get in
lie.
there. Let's
Right.
let's get in there. Let's get to
Get
the
in
root
there, break
of.
it open. Yeah. The
And
personal
it
work.
takes
So,
time. It takes time, layer by layer by layer. I did not get to this place overnight, let me tell you.
you
Because I
know, there's
had,
not that many people you could have this kind of conversation with. And I was particularly struck by it because when we were, let's see, I have 3 kids. And
okay,
right after I had my second one, my husband was a resident and he was diagnosed with a blood cancer. It was a Hodgkin's lymphoma, which, if you
yes,
don't know, cancers is a good one to have. It's very curable. Like,
yes,
he's been
yeah,
in remission for 5 years and I think it's essentially cured.
yeah,
So a good one to have a health awakening. But for him, I would say more of like a personal spiritual awakening because he really did not, was kind of disheartened by the medical system as well and kind of needed
yeah.
to wrap his mind around a few things. And when you were speaking about this, it just resonated so much for my husband. So
Oh,
I love that.
I'm really glad. Good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is these diseases don't need to plague us and they don't need to be our identity. And I just, too many people live, and I was like this too, so I can speak on this. So many people live in this like health anxiety all the time, and anxiety about everything too. Um, where they're just scared that it's like, when is it going to happen? When's the shoe going to drop? It doesn't have to drop. Like, why are we programmed to think that you're gonna get sick? Like, I don't get it. If your
Absolutely. Yeah.
if
That
your
makes sense.
body can get sick, it can also heal itself.
100%. Yes.
So,
Yes.
I just, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation because more people need to know.
They
Choose
do.
your team right. Choose your doctors properly. Like,
Yeah.
you are in charge of your health. You are in charge of
I would
who
say, yeah.
helps to support you.
That's another reason, like for me, decisions I'm making right now is I'm trained Western. So I am really great at like looking through someone's labs and telling you, like, we actually need to look at this. Let's take care of this now, but still doing the preventive. But I would love to create a care team here locally where I have someone that can go through some of the spiritual aspects of medicine more. I mean, I want to learn to do that with my patients, but in the meantime, have an acupuncturist and kind of create that like medical home, so to speak. It's amazing. But if you don't know when you're going to pick a doctor and you have to stay within your insurance, because I've recognized that not everyone
Of
can go outside the
course.
insurance, you really want to vet your team. And I would focus less on the title, whether it's an MD or a DO or a
Mm,
mid-level, but someone that has the personal integrity to really be mindful of how they take care of themselves. Because if you're just slogging through your day, you're not going to do a great job with your patients. And I did have some of those days when I was in my traditional practice. And I would always check myself and be like, it's not their fault that I've seen 15 people already. And I would give my best. But I had colleagues where that wasn't the case because they just didn't know and they'd been in it for so much longer and they were more burnt out. So I would say you do have a choice within your health system. So if you find someone that you're not a great fit with, find someone else. Like, this is your life and you do get to choose. And I know some insurances are better than others, but really interview your care team and let them know what you need. I always appreciated when I had less time if someone told me, I'm here for something preventive or I'm really here for the medication. I kind of knew where they were. And then if it was someone that wanted more education on a health topic or wanted more prevention and didn't want an antibiotic, I could talk to them about like, oh, okay, I know this Ayurvedic thing. I know this essential oil. Let's talk about a natural way to treat anxiety versus a different person that was like, nope, I'm not there yet. I just want the medicine. So feel free to tell your doctor that like you are your best advocate. You have to be.
Love that. Now, when you're going in to see your doctor, do you have any like specific questions that you would suggest for people to ask?
Yeah, I hesitate because I'm not sure what answer you'll get. For example,
Yeah.
I do like a lot of additional hormone testing, and if patients go in and ask for that, they're probably going to tell you you don't need it. But what I would recommend generally is, given my age, is there any screening that I should be having?
Mm,
And then also just the why. You can always ask why. In busy practices, sometimes they're always supposed to ask about family history, but I do find that this is put on the rooming staff. And then if you have a busy physician, they might not see that. And family history is really important for screening for things like breast cancer and uterine cancer, any kind of cancer, really, just
mm-hmm.
to just have a better idea. Not necessarily that it's genetic, because even social factors, environmental exposures can increase your risk for certain things. So if you have a significant environmental exposure, life event, family history, I would still tell your doctor if someone else roomed you and just like checked the box, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. See, these are key points that people need to know. And I know that the listeners will be very happy with this because I get this question a lot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
why not ask the professional, So
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. One of my favorite things to do is as a health advocate. So I have some people that have their doctor and they'll send me everything that's been done and they'll say, what do you think I should do next? What should I ask for? And then I can tell them, okay, you probably should get the MRI, or no, no, no. Just tell them you want to go to PT, tell them you don't want the image. And that's one thing I really love helping people with. So, yeah. If your listeners
so
ever have
good.
more specific questions about what to ask their doctor, we should do a like, what would you ask Dr. Kayla? And we could have like 10 questions because
Oh, that would be
it's one of my
really
favorite things.
good.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
let's plan for that.
Okay. We'll do
Get
it.
ready, guys.
Yes.
No,
Do
that's
you
really
come,
good.
can I ask one thing too? Okay. Do you consider your sessions with people like a reading or more like a health reading or more of a healing session or a
Mm,
strategy session? I know you do lots of different things, but
It depends. It's kind of like a la carte. So if I get someone, like I'll have someone that comes to me and they like know that I do energy and sound healings, and they'll just be like, I just want like an energy or sound healing.
Mhm.
But and then I get the people who are like, I need more coaching. So that's where I intertwine the two. My coaching is where I bring the actual coaching aspect of like holistic living and wellness with the actual healing modalities. Okay, let's work on this. What journal prompts do we need for this? It's just like depending on the person and what I have in my toolbox for them. And if I cannot help them, I got someone that can help them. I can refer them to Dr.
Oh,
Kayla.
I love that.
I can refer them to
Kind of curate it for each
yes,
person. That's
curated for
wonderful.
each person. Obviously, programs and like classes are a little bit different, but like for one-on-one, it's very much catered to the individual. And it's kind of like going to a doctor's appointment where they're like, if they know what they want, they tell me and I'm like, okay. And then I listen and I'm like, I give them a little bit of what they want and then the rest of what they need.
I love that. A little what you want, the rest of what you need. It's that's so true. That's like the art of being a practitioner.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you don't know you need this, but you're gonna need this. So
Yes.
and yeah, it's a matter of kind of again, that's kind of like my specialty where I meld those worlds of coaching and um as a healer together, which is really cool.
That's beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
still need to get my hands on your manual of all of your beauty products that you do. I need to get that because
I
you're
got
so
you.
glowy
Oh, thank
and I just
you.
love non-toxic. I've found like awesome skincare that's non-toxic, but the makeup I always have a little bit of a harder time with. And then I spoke with one woman, someone that does seed cycling, and she and I go back and forth, but she makes her own rose water, and
So good for the skin.
I've
Oh,
seen you post about it. So that's on
so
my
good for the skin.
2024 to-do list. I like need to get that
I
on point.
got you. It's yeah, guys, if you want, it's a 5-day free challenge, the holistic living challenge, where you're cleaning up your environment, cleaning up the products that you're using in on and around you, really. I have that on, it's under free resources on holistichumanperformance.co, but I'll send it to you.
Send it to me. I
Yes,
would love
I'll
it.
put that, you know what? I'll put that in the show notes for people too, because it's really, I literally got 3 questions on that this morning. So I'll put that
Oh,
in
you
the
did.
show notes. Yeah.
Okay, it's out there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's out there. So, I mean, again, I'm so blessed to have grown up in the family that I grew up in because my mom and my dad are, and really mainly my mother, she is very much into this holistic lifestyle. And like, I never, yeah, like I experimented with makeup, but I didn't really go crazy with the makeup. Like, I'm not a huge person when a makeup person. Like, I like smelling clean and I like just not feeling like I have makeup on kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
um, I just think it's really important to, and you know this, they're hormone disruptors. So these toxic products that you're putting on your skin every single day,
Yes,
all
absolutely.
day, every day is literally disrupting your hormones.
It's huge. And the deodorants. I mean,
Oh
I
God.
didn't, my mom was on this, but not until I was like in my 20s or 30s. And then it took me a little while to switch over. And when I did, now if I go somewhere that someone has heavy perfume or like those Glade plugins, things like that, I mean, it's like alarm bells go off. I'm like,
It
what?
literally gives
They
me
don't know.
a
They don't
headache.
know.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
know.
You'll feel it. Yeah. It's
That
bad.
was well, so that was part of the other problem. I was getting like sinus issues, allergies, like I was getting like mini rashes like on my skin from these products. I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Like I'm not even, I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm just gonna handle this myself and find non-toxic things. I mean, listen, you
It's
can.
working. You are glowing. It's working.
Thank you, Boo. I really appreciate that. But it's overwhelming for the consumer to try to find these things on their own. And that's why we do what we do, because it's kind of just like, let's clear the white noise. These are the things that I know about. These are the apps that can help you. These are the people that can help you, and do the research on your own. You have to,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm definitely, I'm all about that. Clean
That's
beauty
awesome. I
only.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Um, so as we wrap up, are there any words of wisdom that you would like to leave the listeners?
Yes. Okay. Here are my words of wisdom. I would say really try to trust yourself. It's a skill, and you saying white noise is what triggered me, but really try to trust yourself when it comes to your health. If you're starting to get this knowing that something's going on, reach out to anyone. I mean, I would love it if you reached out to me or reached out to Jenna because we have resources, right?
Right.
But even if it's a friend or a parent or whatever, reach out to someone and let them know like this isn't sitting right. I need to do something about it just for accountability because getting in touch with your sense of self and knowingness is going to do you wonders. Once you lean into that, your world will just open up, and it will help your decision making capacity. So that would be like the high level thing, 100%. And then the second thing is things will change. What's right for you now might not be what's right for you next year, 5 years, 10 years down the line. It is okay to change. I have done, used to be 100% vegan, and now I'm absolutely not that way. But you couldn't have told me that back then. You really have to
Mm.
listen to your body and take advice, but know that things might change as well. I don't know if that was that
That
wasn't
was beautiful. What
it,
gems?
but yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so,
That's
so
what I would say.
much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Trust yourself and know that what's right for you now might change in the future and try to go with it. Try to build that sense of intuition. It's really, really important for you and your health.
Absolutely. That is the way back to wholeness. I mean, you can't have it any other way. So thank you for
Yes.
that.
That's the perfect ending. I love that. The way back to wholeness.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. That was amazing. And it's going to be so helpful for the listeners again to just navigate their health and healing journey. So thank you for all of that.
Absolutely.
So where can people find you?
Oh, yes. Okay. So my website is heal, HEAL-MD.com. And on my Instagram, Heal by Dr. Milano, I have a booking site. You can click that if you ever want to do a free discovery call, or go on my website and you can send me an email.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'll add all of that stuff in the show notes. Thank you so much. Uh,
Absolutely.
if you guys like this episode, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.